Hallo allemaal, ik ben Nukui en ik heb de afgelopen maand Nederlands gestudeerd. Ja. So we don't know what I was saying earlier. It's either you don't speak Dutch or I forgot to put in subtitles. Either way, as of the recording of this video, I've been studying Dutch by myself for around a month now. Kinda. You know, it's just one of those days when I woke up from my daily sleep thinking, hey, I want to learn a language. And on a whim, I decided to start learning Dutch. And by now you're probably thinking, why? Why did this motherfucker decide to suddenly learn Dutch? And who the fuck learns a language for fun? Well, the answer to that is me. I learn a language for fun, and you know, this is not the first time I've done this either. I've started learning Japanese for shit and giggles a couple of years ago. So this video is not gonna be a video of me persuading you to learn Dutch, or you know, go pick up a language immediately. This video is just gonna be a short, hopefully, video about my thoughts learning this language and whether or not I will be continuing learning this language. So to answer the previous question as to why I decided to learn Dutch, the answer is fairly simple. I love learning languages, and I've been wanting to pick up a new language for a while now. So I thought about it and see, you know, which language is probably going to be easy for me. And I thought maybe Dutch, since it is probably, you know, one of the languages that is most closely related to English, which I already master. And also, I'm Indonesian, so I speak Bahasa Indonesia natively. And if you know anything about Indonesia, you'll know that our language is influenced by the Dutch. We have a lot of Dutch loanwords in our language, which is why our language is different from our cousins in Malaysia. So I thought that, you know, it's probably going to be a pretty easy language for me to pick up. Right? Right? Kinda. I mean, it's a Germanic language, so it's not gonna be too different to English. A lot of words sound the same, like eat, ate and eaten, man and man, sleep, slaap and slapen, supermarket and supermarkt, bread, brood, etc. But there's also a lot of quote-unquote trap words, so to speak, like wil or willen, which means want, slim, which means smart, and want, which means because. Some words are also spelled pretty similarly, like fruit and fruit, book, and etc. You know, and also on the topic of spelling, it's also very similar to how Old Indonesian is written. J is pronounced as Y and OE is pronounced as U, so such as buku and kebudayaan. So, you know, I am familiar with how Dutch is written, so that is not really a problem for me. Continuing on, right? English is not the only language that helps me in learning Dutch. To a lesser extent, Indonesian is also helping. There are many words in our language which is adapted from Dutch. Some examples include kantor to kantoor, wortel to wortel, handdoek to handdoek, asbak to nasbak, resleting and rechtssluiting, and many others. And learning Dutch, you know, has been a really eye-opening experience to me. I get a lot of things that I previously did not know about my own language. A lot of words that I thought was an original Malay/Indonesian word turns out to be loanwords from Dutch, like the word besoek from bezoek, the word koran from krant, jas from jas, knalpot and knalpotten, and other words, although sometimes they do not necessarily mean the same thing. There's like a whole Wikipedia page about this if you're really interested. So before we move on to the next segment, which is things that I find hard about Dutch, there is one word that I really want to talk about, and it's this one. I knew that this word comes from Dutch because of KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, which is called Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij in Dutch. Hi, so while editing this video, I realized that I mispronounced this word. It's supposed to be pronounced with a short I, not a long I, so it's supposed to be Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij. You can clearly see the connection here. And the word maatschappij here means society, but it's also used in names of companies, like, you know, like the word co something in English. I was like, oh, okay, so it's very different compared to Indonesian then. Because for the longest time I thought that the word maskapai is only used to refer to airlines. And that's true. Like, if you ask some random Indonesian what the word maskapai means, they'll most likely say it's airline. But then I checked KBBI, and guess what? It means perseroan dagang, perusahaan, or in other words, just company in general. And I was like, bruh. So it's not so different. My life has been a lie this whole time. What the fuck? the real meaning of maskapai means company, and for some reason I have never made that connection my entire life. And that makes so much sense because the complete word for airline in Indonesian is maskapai penerbangan, company, aviation, hence airline. It's these kind of things that really motivate me to learn a language, to continue learning a language. One thing that is kind of hard for me is to memorize word forms. Maybe this is because I haven't been learning for a long time. I can't really seem to figure out which word forms that needed to be used in a sentence, like 50% of the time. You know, like the sentence I said at the beginning, gestudeerd. The root word is studeren, but then get to studeer, and then ge was added because it was in past tense. I think that's how it works. But then there are words that ends with a T and a D and stuff, and like there's like a lot of things that just I don't really know which to use in what scenario, you know. And as someone whose native language only has suffixes and prefixes to add to a word and no verb conjugations and stuff, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around it. Another thing that is hard for me is word order. The word order in Dutch is not exactly like English and Indonesian, so it takes a while to get used to. Simple sentences in Dutch is practically identical to English. Take the sentence "Mijn vriend is in Taiwan." But when you get to more complex sentences, the word order starts to be different, and this is where I sometimes get confused. For example, mijn moeder gaat elke dag naar de kantoor om te werken. Here you can see that the sentence structure starts to deviate a bit from English. And things get even more complicated when you start adding objects, because definite and indefinite objects have different placement in Dutch. And then when you get to compound sentences or something, it just gets a lot harder. But as I said, it's probably because I haven't learned enough yet, and I'm not really used to the language, like say English or Indonesian. And the last thing is pronunciation. And I mainly have problems with the letters G or CH and R. G and CH is weird because it's pronounced like someone's choking, like
Meer dat het gewoon uit zichzelf zo ontstaan is. En het is niet verbasterd door echt, zoals hier in Nederland, wordt alles gewoon echt geplaatst. Bomen worden geplaatst, weet je wel, natuur wordt geplaatst.
I can never really get used to this because in all the languages I speak, the letter G is pronounced G. So when I found out that Dutch G sounds like that, I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I'm starting to get used to it, but I'm still not used to it. And the other letters is R, right? It's like the R from the inside of your throat, like how you say the name Marijke. It's that kind of R. See, even now I still can't do it. So usually, when that kind of R comes up, I just roll my R because I can, So instead of going Marijke, I just go Marijke. It kind of sounds similar, but then it doesn't. It doesn't sound native at all. It gets the job done, so hey, maybe that's good enough. So, so that's basically it. My thoughts on the language. It is, in a way, easy for me to learn because I know two languages that has some kind of a relationship with Dutch. But, some aspects of it is also hard, like word order, grammar, and pronunciation, which I really need to work on. So, the final question is, will I continue to learn this language? Well, the simple answer is yes, I will. I will continue learning this language by myself. My aim is that I can get my Dutch to the same level as my Japanese currently is. I can understand Japanese videos on YouTube pretty well, and I can hold conversations with a Japanese person really well, I think. So my aim is to get my Dutch to that kind of level. It doesn't necessarily have to be as good as my English, but if I can get my Dutch to the level of my Japanese right now, I'll be really happy. So yeah, that's just about it. Me learning a new language on a whim and decided to make a video about it. If you made it to this part, then thanks for watching. Like if you like, and sub, maybe. I don't know when my next video is gonna be, but stay tuned, I guess.